Hello and welcome. Greetings, everyone. It is GleeCon, and I'm back again with another episode of Lore of Warcraft. On our last episode, we ran through Black Fathom Deeps. On that episode, I kind of mentioned that it would be the only time we run it. Actually, that's not true because we're going to need to run it as a horde, but I guess we're going to run that dungeon twice. Maybe the next time it'll go a little smoother. We had a little run as a druid. The party was, well, it was a pug, and it was what can happen sometimes with pugs where you start to lose members due to IRL problems, and then it kind of snowballs and morale dips and finger pointing starts to happen, and then it can all crash. Luckily, we had a guild to come carry us through, and it was we managed to get all the quests done. We'll turn those in next time. We've also been reading through a couple of the World of Warcraft strategy guides. They were a little dry, but it was some interesting stuff. And now, I've been looking forward. I've had my sights set on this project, a series of books that's probably going to take us a decent amount of time. Quantity-wise, it's close to the number of books that the Dungeons and Dragons journeys took us on. But I did realize there's one other thing that we need to cover, and we're looking at it right here. So stay a while and listen as we dive into what will be probably a multi-part series. So let's get some context. You're looking at the Winter 2009, Volume 1, Issue 1 of the World of Warcraft Official Magazine. So what was happening in winter of 2009? Well, we were about halfway into the Wrath of the Lich King expansion, which is why we see a cool picture of Arthas here with Scourge behind him. He's got an arrow in him, and he's got another arrow that looks like he's pulled out of his chest or something, because he's got a hole right there in his breastplate. So when this expansion hit, World of Warcraft was a smashing success, probably beyond the wildest dreams of the people that made it. As a matter of fact, there's documentation that says basically exactly that. And then they went on to make an expansion, the Burning Crusade, and by the time they made the World of Warcraft Wrath of the Lich King expansion, they were feeling themselves, and this was, I would say, peak World of Warcraft. And popularity was so high. BlizzCon was a huge thing. There were tie-ins. There was the idea of all these different media, and they've definitely streamlined their enterprise nowadays. But at this point in time, they announced right before BlizzCon of 2009, or maybe it was the 2010 BlizzCon, right around that time period, they said, hey, we are going to make a magazine, and we're going to make a high-quality magazine. We'll make it quarterly, and so that would be 4 issues per year, and you can subscribe and pay a certain price. And so they did their first year, the winter 2009 through winter 2010, and then they started the second year, and 1 issue in, they canceled it. So there ended up only being 5 issues of this. You cannot find these in PDF form online. You can't buy them anymore. You can't get them on Amazon. I had to find them on eBay. There is a channel online with a guy. The name of the channel is, I think it's called Warcraft Platinum or something like that. Very high production quality, as opposed to my amateur hour here. There's got animation and wipes and music throughout, and it's definitely produced. Whereas me, I'm just some dude that sits down and uploads stuff and talks about it. So that's about one of the only things that you can get where they flip through the magazine and review it, kind of like a 20-minute review of the entire series. But there is nothing out there that goes through every page. So even though it's not all lore and a lot of it's game, I plan on spending some time going through every page of these magazines. Now, when you see these big books uploaded as PDFs, I always think to myself, one, that's cool. I'm glad that they do that. It's very helpful for me. And 2, it's a time-intensive process. So I began this process today. I fit it in. I uploaded here and there. I'm probably about, 60% of the way through scanning in and uploading this first magazine. And it takes a very long time. So I would love to not have to do this ever again with any other things. I will also mention that when I ordered them, you couldn't find all 5. So I ordered a bundle of what I thought was issues 2 through 5, and then I ordered what I thought was an individual copy of issue 1, but they ended up having duplicates in there. So I actually have multiple copies now of this. So I'm sitting on a treasure trove. Issue 1 and issue 5 I only have 1 copies of, but I have 2 to 3 copies of all of issues 2, 3, and 4. So those might be my daughter, actually, my older daughter suggested this. That might be like a reward I get later on when we start doing monetization, where we're able to boost this channel up. We're getting pretty close, 50 or so subscribers away from being able to unlock the kind of mini premium, where I can unlock some features on YouTube, and we're about halfway to being a full paid channel. Not for you guys. You guys won't have to subscribe, but where I'll start getting my 2 cents a month from YouTube. So at that point in time, I might start doing some special giveaways and stuff like that for my longtime fans out there. But let's dive in. We've spent 5 minutes talking about it, so we're going to get into this magazine. We're going to just go in chunks. I will not leave any mid-article, but there's tons of little articles. So this is the second page, or this is when you open it up. It looks like, I can't tell if this looks probably like Stormwind and the cathedral in the middle of Stormwind. And wow, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more than what we have because it is pretty small. All right, so here is the editorial director, Julian Rignall, of the magazine. And this is kind of like their editor's opening. Never underestimate the power of a fresh perspective. As we dug through historical screens and sketches to use in our feature on World of Warcraft's 5th anniversary, this picturesque image of Stormwind Cathedral stood out, majestic and iconic, but at the same time fresh and different. It's a literal example of what we're trying to achieve with the World of Warcraft Official Magazine. Our main goal is to show you Azeroth from a different perspective, and as visual metaphors go, we could do worse than a sunrise. Welcome to the first issue. Truth is, we're wholly dedicated to finding new angles on Azeroth. Rather than simply tell you how to play, we're going to show you a wide variety of opinions on enjoying, exploring, and extending the game's fun beyond the borders of the screen. For instance, why present one way to run Crusaders Coliseum when the top rating guilds can show you 4? You know Mike Morhaime as the co-founder of Blizzard, but what about Mike the musician or the poker pro? And what if you and your guild just made up your own rules? This issue is full of strategies, lore, and advice from expert players, profiles of your fellow adventurers, as well as insight from the game's development team. But it might not all appear in the forms you'd expect. That's our goal anyway. World of Warcraft players have notoriously strong opinions, and we welcome yours. Drop us a note at yada 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 and share your thoughts. We've got plenty of ideas about how this magazine can evolve, but we want to hear yours too, because we never underestimate the power of a fresh perspective. And there is a lot of cool art in this book. I really like it. So here we have a picture. If it's a 2-part, it looks like we've got a dwarf and an orc. The orc has some serious nipple action going on there. I don't know what those things are. And they're arm in arm, which I love, in front of the crest of World of Warcraft, almost like a Dark Portal thing. They've got daggers and steins and horns of mead, and this is the 5th year anniversary. And it says, join us and celebrate with our in-depth retrospective of the game's history and culture. Page 104 of this magazine. So that's another reason this magazine is beefy. Each of these are solid and they're high quality. So looking at the table of contents, again, contextually, we're halfway through World of Wrath of the Lich King, which means they are getting close to dropping. They're preparing Cataclysm, and that was going to be a big expansion. Whereas now, like, imagine we're a couple months away, so we are probably, 2 to 3 months away from hearing about the next expansion in retail. And I've kind of just been taking a break. I've only been playing a few minutes a week on retail lately. I just really been having more fun with Classic. But, when the next expansion comes out, I'll get into it. And I'm going to get in maybe this weekend and start messing around with the recent patch storyline and raid and everything. So they give a preview of Cataclysm. The end of the world is coming. Are you ready? See how the latest expansion will change the face of Azeroth. Onyxia, one bad mother. For years, Onyxia was the most feared raid boss in all of Kalimdor, but now that she's been re-equipped for the modern era, what does the daughter of Deathwing offer current players? 2 words, more dots. So yeah, they've revamped everything. The siege of Icecrown Citadel, because that was in-game wrath. The epic conflict between Sylvanas and Arthas will soon reach its conclusion. Know the history and prepare for an uncertain future. This is that dude they were talking about. The interview with Mike Morhaime. I gotta keep dropping this. Blizzard Entertainment's president, CEO, and co-founder talks about the birth of Blizzard, how World of Warcraft evolved into the world's biggest MMO, and why 12 million is actually a pretty small number. And here's a picture of a little scourge and the 5th anniversary. The traditional gift is wood for the 5th anniversary, but we're giving love instead with a geeky look at the back at Azeroth's Path. I've actually had my anniversary coming up. The 14th anniversary of my wife and I. We've been together a lot longer, but it's our official anniversary, which is ivory. Not a very eco-friendly gift, and my wife's a little bit of an environmentalist. I won't be getting her anything truly ivory. I actually have a nice surprise in store for her, but it's not. It'll be more experiential and less material. Although she's a sucker for a pair of earrings, and she will never say no to a fancy pair of those. So in lieu of ivory, maybe I'll get her some pearls or something like that. Don't tell. Okay, so they're going to cover Battleground Isle of Conquest. The Horde and Alliance clash on this tiny resource-laden island in World of Warcraft's latest PvP battleground. Our editors turn to the community to give you their expert insights and a view to a kill. Managing line of sight is a key skill for all arena players, and the experts can show you how to use it to your advantage. Deep tactics for Crusaders Colosseum, the ultimate training ground for the impending final battle against the Lich King. Crusaders Colosseum offers surprises, old friends, and some serious challenges. We got the top guilds to tell you their tricks. Battlegrounds Arathi Basin, one of the most popular battlegrounds, is also one of the most misunderstood. There's community stuff, animal magnetism, companions, they're adorable accessories for players of all types, but why are they so popular? We hunted down some of Azeroth's most notorious pet trackers to get the inside scoop. That's actually kind of cool if they actually reached out and they're like, dude, you have some of the most pets in the game. What's up? Crowning achievements, they don't help you in combat. They don't make finishing quests any easier. They're just tiny points of personal pride. So why do we love achievements so much? Ooh, I don't know, but I'd have to really do some soul searching, but I am definitely an achievement hound. From out of nowhere, one lucky Healadin goes from 0 to hero overnight, winning 75k in the 3v3 arena finals at BlizzCon. Wanted posters. Lots of people put posters on of their heroes up on their walls. I've never done that. That's cool. But only Heroic Prints lets World of Warcraft players do that. Literally. That's cool. You can make or maybe, I don't know if you can still do it nowadays, but a print of your actual tune. That's cool. In the cards, how much adventure can you pack into a stack of paper? The World of Warcraft trading card game offers the drama and thrills of Azeroth in the palm of your hand. As you can see, they're just really, at this point, going all in on expanding the media that they were using. Community Artist Spotlight, creative visions of Azeroth from the players who live there. That's cool. Advice column, booty calls. When the loot drops, don't let the spoils of war spoil the party. There are many fair ways to share the wealth. The Crafty Crafter's Guide to Inscription, because that was new for Wrath. Scrolls, glyphs, tomes, maybe the pen really is mightier than the sword. Here's why inscription just might be your next profession. Columns, tanking major threat. You want them to hit you as hard as they can. Making that happen, however, takes some planning. DPS on the other hand, you can't wield 3 daggers, or can you? Clever time and resource management can make you deadlier still. Healing gridlocked. Do you get hypnotized by health bars? Reducing information overload will help you survive the fight and enjoy it. The Guild Hall, there go the brides, keeping your guild entertained one tournament at a time. Community Corner Ring of Protection, securing your guild bank means securing your guild's accounts. Okay. And cooldown. Well, we thought it was funny. All right, so maybe they're just jokes, and here's just, the art and all the little legalese stuff. All right, so this is another reason why I really like this magazine is look at these cool pictures. You've got a Space Murloc, Space Marine Murloc. That's pretty cool. I think they gave out some pets or something like that in one of the BlizzCons, but I like that picture. All right, so now we are getting into our first feature article, which is called Things to Look Forward to in Cataclysm, with a pretty dope picture of Deathwing and a little tiny dude down there for scale. Yes, he's huge, and he is just dope. The end of the world is coming. Are you ready? See how the latest expansion will change the face of Azeroth. When ancient magic tears the world apart, what can possibly escape unscathed? Not a whole lot. So, when Cataclysm, World of Warcraft's next expansion, makes massive changes to the lands of Azeroth next year, it'll not only affect the scenery, it will also improve a whole heap of other features. A robust guild leveling system, Goblins, Worgen, flying mounts in Azeroth, Ragnaros' vengeful return, underwater gameplay, yeah, that was a cool zone, rated battlegrounds, new progression systems like Path of the Titans for max level characters. Oh, and did we mention that the entire world has been ripped apart by a terrifying magma dragon bursting out from Deepholm onto the surface of Azeroth, ready to destroy all life on the planet? So yeah, there's that too. Our editors dig deep into 9 key aspects of the expansion to help you prepare for the end of the world as you know it. Azeroth is changing, and it will inevitably change you with it. Yeah, so I guess as far as like us sticking with the storyline, this kind of rips us out of our timeline. But that's how this kind of non-real heavily canon lore focus gets us. But, you know, I guess you could always save these for later if you don't want to read about some things from Cataclysm. Deathwing is held together only by seething hatred and ancient armor. That's a cool picture of his jaw metal thing that's clasped on there. I like it. Okay, who is Deathwing? And why does he want to kill us all? Armor plating. Deathwing's corruption is more than just mental, it's physical and total. Only by the use of goblin-forged adamantium armor can Deathwing's ravaged body survive. I mean, we've basically kind of already had that spoiled for us in some of the other books we've read. Believe it or not, Deathwing didn't always want to murder everyone and enslave dragon aspects like Alexstrasza to be his mate. He actually used to be pretty cool. Originally known as Neltharion the Earth Warder, Deathwing is the leader of the Black Dragon Flight and one of 5 dragons who were chosen by the Titans in ancient times to watch over Azeroth. With supreme power over Earth, magma, and all those other fiery terrestrial goodies, Neltharion was once the caretaker of the continents of Azeroth. Back then he was using his powers with wisdom and benevolence to forge mountains and rivers for the benefit of the mortal races. Nowadays, though, he's more into using those powers to forge world-wrecking volcanoes and giant beds of skulls to lie on. You can blame his personality shift from Neltharion the Earth Warder to Deathwing the Destroyer on the old gods. Those guys spoil everything. From their prison deep within the earth, the old gods assaulted Neltharion's mind with promises of power. Despite his nobility and power, Neltharion couldn't resist the old gods' manipulative lies forever, and he eventually succumbed. The Earth Warder faded away, and in his place rose the terrible Deathwing, who was determined to wipe out all non-black dragons, save for a few slaves and consorts, of course. The tricky thing about betrayal is that you rarely see it coming. The other dragon aspects certainly didn't. Deathwing tricked all 4 of them into pouring a portion of their power and essence while withholding his own into the dragon soul, a goblin-forged disc that was made of gold mixed with his own blood and fused with the taint of the old gods. The Burning Legion, mortal forces, and draconic armies, everything but the Black Dragonflight, could not stand against this potent weapon. But the Dragon Soul, now known as the Demon Soul, emanated so much corrupting power that no one could possess the artifact without ill effects. This corruption tore apart Deathwing's body, exposing his molten core. Only powerful adamantium armor, once again forged by the goblins, is able to keep what's left of his ravaged body from falling apart. Deathwing's dream of total obliteration of life on Azeroth would likely be reality if it weren't for the Night Elven Druid Malfurion Stormrage, who stole the demon soul from the dragon's lair and hid it after the other dragon aspects had sealed the artifact so that Deathwing could never use it again. Deathwing suffered another major defeat 10,000 years later when the Archmagi of Dalaran forced him into battle and sent him crashing into the sea. Clever as always, Deathwing used the opportunity to assume the form of a human noble, infiltrate the Alliance, and sabotage it from within. As Lord Davil Prester, Deathwing used magic to manipulate other nobles as part of his scheme to be appointed King of Alterac. Worse yet, during the Second War, Deathwing uncovered the location of the Demon Soul. Unable to wield it himself, Deathwing used minions to control mortals who could wield it for him. At one point, even Ronan, a member of the Kirin Tor and its future leader, was under Deathwing's influence. However, Ronan was able to maintain enough of his right mind to destroy the Demon Soul as soon as he discovered a weakness in it, ending Deathwing's plan. Suddenly restored to their full power by the Demon Soul's destruction, the other 4 dragon aspects fought back and forced Deathwing into hiding. Now he lies in wait in Deepholm, the domain of Earth and the elemental plane, held together only by seething hatred and ancient armor dreaming of the world's destruction. The old gods' voices are clear and powerful, and they demand Deathwing's return to the surface to herald the destruction of all life. Brace yourself, for the one who safeguarded your world has returned to destroy it. So that answers a kind of a mystery we had that we've left off on in Chronicles. Where is Deathwing? Well, I guess he's been in Deepholm. Okay, the second part of this Cataclysm preview is meeting the new Barrens. That was probably the biggest change when they ripped it in half and turned it into North and South and less barren. Check out what Deathwing's done to your old stomping grounds. The Barrens is one of those zones we've always had a lot of feedback on, says game director Tom Chilton. It's probably the ultimate example of a monotonous zone for us, so that made it a really prime candidate for touching up. And by touching up, he means rending in twain. A giant chasm dramatically separates the Horde's most chatty area into 2 separate zones, north and south. From an artistic viewpoint, the Barrens is a very important place on Kalimdor, explains Alex Afrasiabi, lead world designer. It sort of cuts the whole continent in half, so it was a nice place to say, bam, this thing's been destroyed. Some areas are much more lush and green than they were in the past, adds Tom, but large parts of the zone are still very Barrens-esque. And the giant scar on the land isn't the only major change. After years of help from players, Mancrick has finally recovered his wife's body for a proper funeral. Years of help. The Northern Barrens will remain at a similar level for the Horde, but the Southern Barrens will feature a strong Alliance presence and be targeted at levels 30 to 35. What's more, the Emerald Nightmare is pouring out into the Southern Barrens, causing all sorts of trouble. And those lovable pirates near Ratchet have been forced out as Alliance and Horde forces clash in the zone. You'll discover Baron Longshore in a cage, with some pirates escaping to set camp nearby. And remember, veterans need no bridges. Cataclysm players will be able to soar over the entire zone and survey the destruction from their flying mounts. Whee! Okay, part 3. Tauren Paladins. Holy cow. Haha. Heroes of Azeroth are showing up in all new shapes and sizes, as class options for most of the races are being expanded. Check out some of the highlights. I like Tauren Paladins. I have a Tauren Holy Paladin on retail. This looks like... I don't even know what that is. I can't tell what those are. This looks like a rogue, but I can't tell what race it's supposed to be. This looks like some kind of shadow mage. Dwarf can now be shaman. That's cool. And he's dual wielding hammers. Night elves can now be mages. Trolls can now be druids. Sundered Lands. The screenshot above and concept art to the left demonstrate the damage Deathwing inflicts upon the Barrens. No zone will be spared some sort of change. I don't know if that's actually accurate. But the Barrens is definitely among the hardest hit. And a walk down memory lane. Oh, this is part 4. That's what these two are. Revisit those old dungeons your guild first ran together now as a brutal level 85 heroics. The Dead Mines, that's what that is getting a fresh coat of paint with reappearances from memorable bosses like Mr. Smite, you landlubbers are tougher than I thought, I'll have to improvise, and Cookie, who doesn't want one-handed maces that look like rolling pins. Some boss mechanics will definitely change, but I don't think the dungeon itself is undergoing any significant changes, says Tom. It's pretty much the same, the characters are the same, subject to change, of course, chimes in Alex. It's all subject to change. The other classic dungeon making a comeback as a heroic instance is Shadowfang Keep. That's what we see there. Located in Silverpine Forest, just north of the new Worgen starting area. Yeah, and that also makes it more likely for the Alliance to be able to play it. Now that you have a second, you have Alliance people that are actually kind of near there. All right, part 5 is called Going with the Flow. Shifting the zones of Azeroth for easier travel and smarter level progression. I don't know that it says they have like some pictures, but yeah, they did change the zones really. So at BlizzCon, the development team revealed that the flow between zones would be changing along with the terrain. But if you've studied the diagrams from the BlizzCon presentations or even had the chance to play some of the early levels at the show, you might not have the full picture. Alex Afrasiabi explains that the new zones incorporate more than just one leveling path for each faction on each continent. We're a lot more directed in the really early experience, especially when it comes to the Goblins and Worgen. He says there's no doubt that it's a very dedicated experience, but as you get back into the Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor, then you're looking at having a lot of different options for what zone to go to. A lot like you used to, it's just that the zones will have a lot more content. Yeah, I like that. There's just a lot better direction, he continues. We're actually specifically building in more ports, which is really important for making sure players don't feel limited in their options. We don't necessarily want you to do your entire Alliance leveling experience 1 to 60 on Kalimdor, even though you can. So there are breakpoints along the level flow that will take you to the Eastern Kingdoms if you so choose, and vice versa. You can mix and match, so you can still do what you do today. It's just a lot cleaner. So for instance, Southern Kalimdor. Southern zones, Silithus, Ungoro Crater, and Tanaris won't see a large shift in their level range, but Thousand Needles will be made into a level 40 to 45 zone to bridge the gap between Dustwallow Marsh and Tanaris. Southern Barrens is being redesigned for levels 30 to 35, significantly higher than the current version. That's true. I mean, and they have this kind of cutoff about where it is. But yeah, I guess before you would, I don't know what you would do first. Based on my map here, or on my questing, looks like Dustwallow and I guess Thousand Needles was technically a little, I think Thousand Needles was maybe a little easier than Dustwallow Marsh, so they've kind of changed that. You could also now go through Feralus to there. And here it's Tristful or Gilneas into Silverpine, then Hillsbrad. You could technically go to Alterac, Arathi, Hinterlands, Western, Eastern, and then there's a neutral port on there. Weird. The Plaguelands level ranges are being lowered to smooth out the flow of the northern part of the continent. They will cater to a wider range of players, 35 to 50, instead of competing with the many other 50 to 60 level zones currently in the game. That is one thing that you used to really have to pick. The Forsaken and Worgen are neighbors and will face off often while leveling. I don't know what that neutral port is. Interesting. Yes, new races. Discussing amongst themselves. How to keep the epic feel of the world travel while ditching the annoying parts. Will the game feel any less epic without the long quests that send you all around the world? Okay, Alan Brack. J. Alan Brack is a production director. If by epic you mean annoying, one example that comes to mind are the quests to get your shaman totems. There's certain things you have to do for those quests that require you to go all over the world to get your totems. I agree. I mean, I do like, it does make it feel epic like they say, but I honestly, I know people disagree with me, but when I just have to go back and forth from Silverpine to the Barrens, from Silverpine to the Barrens, just to get my totem, that's annoying. You're just, what am I gaining other than just spending time in game? Like, I waste an hour traveling there and back. That's epically annoying, is Alex Afrasiabi, lead world designer. That is epically annoying. For people who have done that, it's like a rite of passage. I got my totems and I did it all the hard way. There is value in that. That's like the people who beat the original Naxxramas and Kel'Thuzad. Yeah, they did it the hard way back when it was hardcore and all that stuff. But I don't think that's an approach that all players enjoy. The majority is turned off by that. Tom Chilton is another game director. I think that epicness has way more to do with the content of the quests themselves. How the quests are presented, how compelling the story arcs are, how good the rewards are. Absolutely. We've made some improvements as storytellers and content creators today compared to back in the original days. You may not be moving all over the world, but what you're actually doing is going to be more fun, more compelling, actually going to be better. And I think they've kind of gone too far the other way with it now. And that's not to say we can't send you to crazy places in the world. It's just that when we do, I think we'll be smarter about how we do it and probably give you the tools to get there in a reasonable amount of time. Yeah, like opening little portals and stuff. Like at the end of Black Fathom Deeps, when they give you a portal that takes you right back to Darnassus. That's just helpful. You don't see people complaining about that because it was in Classic. Why not make me walk out of the dungeon? swim out, or hearth and wait for my hearth to get off cooldown. You know, like, why not do that? So you want to be a goblin. There's more to life than money. There's also explosions. This is part 6. The goblins bring that comic relief to the horde. You'll really get a taste of their over-the-top humor as you go through the early goblin zones like Kazan, Lost Isles, and even Ajara. Cheap plastic flamingos, obnoxious neon billboard advertisements, football matches with shredders on cheap AstroTurf squares, the largest gun you've ever seen. The goblins certainly have a unique charm. When they aren't devising ways to swindle your money or building bombs large enough to decimate entire continents, they're tinkering with gadgets such as their multi-purpose belt, which players will be able to utilize with the goblins' racial abilities to fire rockets or launch themselves at their enemies. Excited about being welcomed into the horde? You or I might send Thrall a thank you card or a small gift of cooked meats, but that's not really the goblin style. To show their appreciation, goblins would rather blow up the entire zone of Ajara, terraforming it to look like the horde symbol from space, where their rocket at Area 52 is sure to take them soon. Night elves and gnomes beware. The tiny kings and queens of greed fight for the horde now. The Worgen bring a new level of badass to the Alliance. It says, so you want to be a Worgen? They put the fur in fury, but it's what's inside that counts. I love Worgen. That's my main. All of Gilneas is themed so strongly for them in that spooky industrial revolution London vibe kind of setting. I love their starting zone too. The next time you get bummed out about a bad hair day, pause and remember the noble people of Gilneas. Just south of Silverpine Forest, this human settlement locked itself away from the rest of the Alliance to resist the Scourge's advances. However, things didn't go quite as planned. Not only did the nation get overrun anyway, though, by the Forsaken, but everyone the Gilneans ever loved was slowly corrupted by the Worgen curse and transformed into feral, bloodthirsty wolfmen. Now that's a bad day. And you'll be right in the middle of it as a newly restored, mentally at least, Gilnean citizen with the Worgen curse. Your racial abilities will give you just enough control over your condition to maintain your human form out of combat, but as soon as you get the scent of blood, you'll uncontrollably revert to your Worgen form through a wicked animation. Is there an animation? I don't know about that. Orcs, I'll have to check it and see. I don't usually use my human form much, and I honestly, never use it, so to have that switch me back to, I'm gonna do it next time I play. Orcs, Tauren, and especially Forsaken. Beware, these prodigal sons of the Alliance are back with a nasty grudge and even nastier claws. Okay. Look at this. Look at this weird picture. We've got, I guess it's a blood elf, horde, troll, orc, and they look like they're goo-goo-eyeing her. This troll is creeping me out. Keep your friends close and your guildies closer. 7. Cataclysm promises some radical improvements to the benefits of being in a guild. You never forget your first guild. That's a lie. I don't remember mine. Like a first kiss, it's exciting, awkward, and kind of embarrassing afterward, but you look back on it with fondness because of its blissful innocence. Sure, we all made a few noob missteps as we explored the wonders of Azeroth for the first time. Why aren't the quest items dropping? I thought a 10-player raid for questing would be faster. But we made them together, and I have made that mistake, back in the day, and made good friends along the way. Guilds have been helping players have more fun since the game's inception, but it's about to get a whole lot better. The social benefits are staying, but there's an entire avalanche of tangible in-game benefits headed in each guild's way soon. If you're not in a guild, consider this fair warning. Find a good group of people you enjoy playing with ASAP. You don't want to miss out on these perks. Yeah, I don't know. I find that the guilds I join in Classic just the social is not there. But out of guild, the social is way better. Just the randos that I meet and pug with, it's way more entertaining interaction. Sharing the glory. Guilds come and go, but there's never been an easy way to know a guild's history, save for the few great mother-like storytellers who've chronicled major events like the Great Molten Core Raid of 05 and the all-guild Stranglethorn Cookout in the Hot Summer of 07. The new guild system will change the way guilds play together forever. Guilds level up and earn achievements just like players, rising in status by their members gaining levels, downing raid bosses, winning raided battlegrounds or arenas, leveling professions, and doing all the other great things that increase the otherwise intangible prestige of their guilds. Smaller guilds need not worry about being left behind, though, because only the top 20 contributors each month will count toward a guild's level. Oh, that's cool. Officer of Warriors of Time. That's kind of neat. I've never run my own guild, but I think it would be pretty cool. Keep in touch. One of Cataclysm's most exciting updates has nothing to do with improving your stats or giving you more gold and achievement points. It doesn't even really have any tangible in-game benefit, but it's going to be invaluable to every guildmate nonetheless. Everything happening in your guild will be displayed on an easy-to-read, fully filterable RSS newsfeed accessible in-game or through the World of Warcraft Armory. You don't have to be left out of the loop if you're logged out. When your buddies finally down Yogg-Saron, you'll be able to contribute your own victory dance to the mass celebration in real time. I actually do like that feature that they basically still have now. We're so talented. Leveling by itself is pretty great, but we all know that one of the best parts about leveling a character is getting more and more talent points to spend on cool bonuses and abilities. Why should it be any different with guilds? In Cataclysm, guilds will have their own talent tree with PvE and PvP talents that will grant guild-wide boons. The benefits range from pragmatic, 10% gold drop or honor increases, no more reagents for raid-wide buffs, to the mind-blowingly fantastic, like a mass resurrection ability to give your raid quick wipe recovery. Talent trees are designed to reward all different types of guilds, not just dedicated raiders, but it gets tricky sometimes, especially when PvP comes into play. As Tom Chilton explains, some things that are purely convenience in PvE become character power in PvP because there's direct competition. Okay. Part 8, Remaking the World, then the Warcraft. This is the underwater stuff. It's not just the landscape that's getting a facelift. Everything you know is changing, and for the better. Well, that's subjective. Under the sea. Water effects are getting an impressive revamp, but where's the fun in that if you can't explore the sea properly? Thankfully, Cataclysm will introduce new underwater gameplay mechanics to let you explore the new Big Blue with all of its shimmering waves and pretty particle effects. In the underwater sunken city of Vajir, one of Cataclysm's new high-level zones, players will have access to a buff that allows them to sink to the ocean floor and play under the sea as if they were walking on land, mounts included. Vajir is also the gateway to a new dungeon, the Abyssal Maw, seen above. In Vajir, you'll be able to switch back to traditional underwater gameplay whenever you need to swim over an obstacle, reach a platform above you, or chase that sparkly fish that darted by. Ooh, shiny. Crafting for the future. A plethora of benefits is coming to guild members in the expansion, but nothing matches the sheer stat-boosting, time-saving prowess of guild heirlooms. Players with high profession skills will be able to buy the recipes and most of the materials for these level-scaling items, which operate just like the current heirloom items, but on a larger guild-wide scale. I don't know if that's still a thing. Plus, they'll be able to do this without spending a silver of their own cash. Instead, the system will use gold guild currency, which is acquired the same way as guild experience points. In addition to being a great and practically free benefit for your whole guild, heirloom gear will be available for a wider variety of class specializations and slots. According to J. Allen Brack, the idea is that we want to itemize heirlooms more than we have in the past. That's interesting. Would you like PvP with your dailies? Oh, gosh. I do like how they're phasing out dailies. Dailies is just, I don't know. I mean, there's got to be some element for it. But there's just so much to do in the game. I don't know how much I really... Some dailies, like, if they're directly tied to, like, rep... Like the snail. Raising your racing snail up or whatever. That's basically optional only if you want that cosmetic mount. That I can get behind. But, man... World Quest, that's a little better. I like the way they have it now, where they basically reset twice a week. It's more manageable. It's kind of like a nice compromise. With brash and violent Garrosh Hellscream ascending as War Chief of the Horde and the orc-loathing Varian Rin restored as King of Stormwind, the period of tenuous peace between the Horde and the Alliance is over. Expect a lot less cooperation between the two factions going forward. Even Cataclysm's major daily quest hub, think the Isle of Quel'Danas and the Burning Crusade, will have to be claimed in fierce battle. Tolbrod Island and Eastern Kingdoms will host the primary world PvP objective a la Wintergrasp every few hours, and it will be the main daily quest hub in between. Although both factions will be able to do some daily quests regardless of who owns Tolbrod, bonus quests will be given to whoever currently controls the city. If you want access to the most lucrative daily quests, pack your PvP gear and don't forget your game face. Missing stat hassles. Spell power, defense, mana per 5 seconds, attack power, block value, and armor penetration. You won't be seeing these stats on weapons and armor anymore. You won't be losing these benefits, you'll just lose the irritation of staring at a new piece of gear without ever being quite sure if it's an upgrade, a side grade, or a total stinker. Bonuses like spell power and armor penetration will now come from talent trees and the main attribute stats. For example, intellect will now also increase spell power. A new stat, mastery, is an all-purpose flexible stat that gives benefits based on your primary talent tree. Assassination rogues may see it increase their poison damage, and beast mastery hunters may see it increase their pets damage. And that's still a thing. Have you found a piece of gear you love but the stats are just a little less than perfect for you? The new reforging system will allow you to remove one stat from a piece of gear and transform it into a different stat. That's like Diablo. Players will have more control than ever over customizing their characters any way they want. Digging up the past. Those who do not understand history are doomed to repeat it. And the last time Deathwing had free reign, he caused enough trouble that the world still has not fully recovered. With that in mind, all players will be given access to a new secondary profession, archaeology. I didn't realize that was Cataclysm only. I thought that was Wrath. By unearthing remnants of the past all over the world, players will be able to align themselves with one of the Titans. Tom Chilton explains, one of the main purposes of the Path of the Titans is to give us post-max level character advancement that you can look forward to with each content patch. Right now, power increase in each patch is really just gear inflation, but gear inflation doesn't tend to change your character all that much or make it feel like your character plays differently. The boost from the Path of the Titan, says Tom, should provide a 20% character power increase over the course of the expansion and be compatible with dual specialization. Making battlegrounds count, although arenas have been wildly successful across the whole spectrum of players, from the super casual to professional esports gamers, which has led to World of Warcraft's inclusion in professional tournaments around the world. Some players still long for the good old days of PvP that revolved more around large-scale, pug-friendly skirmishes, if not the outright chaos that often broke out around Hillsbrad foothills. Battlegrounds are still around, of course, but you currently can't purchase most of the game's highest quality PvP gear without succeeding in arenas as well. No more, my arena-shy friends. With the introduction of rated battlegrounds, players will be able to queue up for battlegrounds as a group and compete for arena points with comprehensive tools calculating player contributions during the fight. All right, part 9. I'm going to try to get through this Cataclysm preview. It's getting a little bit long of an episode, but I wanted to get through this big feature at least. New place like home? Will trolls and gnomes finally get their own capital cities? Maybe. No. When Garrosh takes command of the Horde, he orders Orgrimmar retrofitted with black iron from Northrend and kicks all non-Orc and non-Tauren residents out from the main section of the city, believing only they possess the strength to truly defend the city. The development team also teased the trolls definitely do have a new place. We can't go too far into that, but every race is still accounted for. It's basically kind of like their starting zone is much more robust. While Garrosh is a tough leader, he does see value in all the races that belong to the Horde, and he'll use them to the best of that value. And will the gnomes finally take back Gnomeregan from those nasty level 27 elite trogs? We'll see. Possibilities like that are always intriguing to us, Alex Afrasiabi hints with a grin. All right, look, no sooner did I speak it. So next time we're going to look at this Mike, Blizzard Entertainment's president, no longer, I don't think, Mike Morhaime. We'll read about this guy. He talks the truth. He talks about the birth of Blizzard and how World of Warcraft evolved into the world's biggest MMO, and why 12 million is actually a pretty small number. All right, so I'm enjoying this so far. It's pretty cool because it's something that I've never read. It's we talked about archaeology a few seconds ago. It's kind of like that. We're looking at a relic. It's cool that it's very rare. So I like that I'm providing something out there for people. I'm thinking when I'm all done making the videos, I might release the PDF, or at least put a link to like a Google Doc that has this Google Doc that I've created. I'll have to make like a kind of neutral account or whatever, like anyone with the link can view kind of thing, but not edit. So I will perhaps do that when I'm done uploading them all. Like I don't want to link this doc right now because I still have, as you can see, it's 22 of 98 pages that I've uploaded. But there's about 180. So I'm just a little past halfway uploading this first, and we've got 4 magazines to go. All right, thanks everybody so much for watching and listening. You know what this means. Another pipe episode by 5/5. Something like that. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. See you next time on Lore of Warcraft.